Hey guys, Big Weir, roadrunner.com. I want to talk about an article I wrote almost 10 years ago now. It's called The Hidden Meanings in the New $100 Bill. Those of you who aren't familiar with this, you can go to roadrunner.com and it's on the public side. You can just do a search for the hidden meanings or $100 bill and you will find this. It's an article that breaks down all the significance on the new $100 bills, and there's a lot of it. Let's go over a couple things. It is a cool bill. I love these bills. It does have an issue with the little blue band, and sometimes it frays a little bit. But all in all, it's pretty darn cool. Which makes you wonder why. Why was it the last bill? If it really was about counterfeiting that they wanted to make this bill so counterfeit proof, why did they do it last? Well, there's still one bill out there that has not been counterfeit proofed, but we'll get to that in a second. But it begs the question, if the true reason is to keep the US dollar sound, why would they wait until the very last bill to make it counterproof, the $100 bill? And then why would it have gold all over it? And why would it say right above the 100, we reserve the right to overthrow our government, which I'll get to in a second also. But really interesting, as you can see, it's got the blue stripe down the middle. Ben Franklin's on the left side of the bill. I think that's very important. Ben Franklin was a very big advocate of paper money, believe it or not. But times were different back then. The colonies were required to pay for things in silver, meaning all the money was leaving the colonies to go to England to get their, the stuff they need from home. So they started using paper money, and everything prospered in the colonies. And Ben Franklin, obviously, he was a printer, so he could print the money. But people did very, very well, and it wasn't until England banned the use of paper money in America that really, that's the true reason behind the revolution. It started all kinds of problems. So yeah, Ben Franklin probably should be on that side of the bill. That's the side that says Federal Reserve Note, and everything has been shifted to that side of the bill. So the left side, if you're looking at it, the right side of it is looking at you. But the other side of the bill is all about overthrowing the government. The fountain pen, the gold inkwell, all of that is symbolic of the ability of Congress to sign a law tomorrow banning the Federal Reserve. They don't even have to ban the Federal Reserve. They can just end the Fed, as Ron Paul says, because in the Constitution it says only Congress has the power to print money. Coin money, actually, they can't even print it. But it definitely says that Congress has the power, and we're all waiting on them to exercise that power, but they're so corrupt. Congress is so corrupt. It's kind of like, who's more corrupt, the Fed or Congress? I would assume it's Congress. I know a lot of people don't agree with my theory on that, but there is people within the Fed who are looking to take down the bankers, and most of the congressmen are on the dole. So we will see what happens. But so I wrote this article back when this before this $100 bill was even released. And you note on these bills, they're all the year 2009. There hasn't been any created since, and I don't even know if there'll be any created. But 2009, leading up to 2009, the bill was, I think, announced in 2006 and didn't come out until 2010 or 13. Crazy. So there was a lot of controversy around this bill. The U.S. $100 bill is the most counterfeited bill in the world, more than any other bill. They call it a super note because it's counterfeited so often. And you'd wonder why the U.S. would allow this. Again, it gets back to they want to destroy the currency. The Federal Reserve System and the Treasury want to destroy the U.S. dollar because we win if the dollar is destroyed, and we can get rid of these bankers and go back to something more sane. But we win because we're the largest debtor nation in the world. If you destroy the monetary system, you have no more debt. Voila. That's why we've used everybody else's natural resource, and if we find anything on our own land, like in the Grand Canyon, all the gold in the Grand Canyon, or Chocolate Mountain, or anything in the Desert Wildlife Preserve that Dianne Feinstein's locked up, or the Alaskan Wildlife Preserves that Sarah Palin locked up, or all the people before her. We hide it. We don't want to use anybody's natural resource until they stop taking these Federal Reserve notes. So, really interesting bill. Check out this article. It goes into what the blue stripe is, and it's symbolic of the flag. And if you're not familiar with the flag colors, an interpretation has been the red symbolizes hardiness and valor, the white symbolizes purity and innocence, and the blue stripe represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. How would you like vigilance, perseverance, and justice in our monetary system? That'd be pretty cool. But let's take a look at this one side, the right side of the blue stripe, and it's loaded with gold. I'm surprised nobody even talks about this. Remember, the Fed's supposed to be the anti-gold people, and it was the Fed and the Treasury Department that put this bill together. And it's gold galore: gold inkwell, gold Liberty Bell, gold feather pen, gold 100, gold watermark, gold writing on the background, a gold July 4th, 1776, and then the 100 flashes from green to gold. It's really cool. And I get into, this was prior, the interesting thing about the $100 bill, this was prior to the emergence of cryptocurrencies. The Satoshi white paper was released at the end of 2008 and beginning of 2009. Now, these bills were all dated at the 2009 series. They were actually planned to be released right during the crash in 2008. And they were obviously printed long before that. I think they were announced in 2006. So, yes, the Fed and the Treasury knew this was coming. And the plan was to go back onto a gold standard, but it got delayed. Too many people would have died because of it. And that's when the cryptos were born. So it all kind of goes together. So here's a close-up of the right side of the $100 bill. And right above the 100, it says in gold, the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new. That's from the Declaration of Independence, and talking about overthrowing your government right on the front of the $100 bill. That part is a quote that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. That is right on the front of the $100 bill. You have the right to alter or abolish your government. Have we ever needed that right more right now? Absolutely. Let's take these guys down. And there's Bernanke, Tim Geithner, and some Treasury people showing off that new $100 bill. And Geithner doesn't look too happy, but Ben Bernanke sure does in that picture. Go check out this article. It's at roadtoroota.com. But here's the other thing. Here's the other bill. Every other bill has been colorized and anti-counterfeited, except this one. This is the back of the U.S. $1 bill. And we've all seen it, but do we really know what we're looking at? And everybody says, yeah, it says New World Order right there, the Novus Ordo Sectorum. That means New World Order, or a New Order of the Ages. Inuit Conceptus is, I had it right here, means it's two words, to approve and an undertaking. So it has been interpreted, it is that he, meaning God, favors our undertakings. But look at the pyramid. Why is there a pyramid on the back of the U.S. $100 bill? Nobody's been able to explain that to me. Everybody sees the all-seeing eye. It's just the banker's way of doing things. No. This 100% has to do with the Grand Canyon gold and what was found in the Grand Canyon. You notice the pyramid, there's all these bushes under that pyramid. Does everybody see that? Is there any bushes near the pyramids in Egypt? No, not at all. There are pyramids in the Grand Canyon, absolutely. There's massive amounts of gold in the Grand Canyon, absolutely. This is all part of this pyramid and that picture It's called the Great Seal of California. That is all about the Grand Canyon gold. A lot of it has been leased out. A lot of it they can't get to it without serious mining operations. There was a cave-in. It's talked about in the Road to Ruta comics. It's talked about in the movie McKenna's Gold. It's talked about in all kinds of things. I mean, this is not hidden as many people think it is. So go look at the second video on the Road to Ruta website. Right at the top is my speech I gave in Acapulco at the Acapulco conference, talking about the gold in the Grand Canyon and why it's so important and why they're not changing the $1 bill. I mean, why not anti-counterfeit it, right? Because until the gold is released to the people, which it may never be now that we have the cryptos, it may not be needed. And it was billions and billions of ounces of gold. Anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, go to roadtoruta.com. Again, go to the left side, resources, right here, resources. Click on that tab, the very first article, right there. New York Times, 1912, tell of vast riches in the Grand Canyon. Men engaged in gold dredging operations expect to astonish the world. And I've done quite a bit of research onto this. I've done YouTube presentations on it as well for the private road and the public road. This absolutely happened, and there were billions of ounces. My favorite quote from this is right here. The foreman says, and this is a quote right from this foreman, F.D. Watson. I know that it will be difficult to comprehend that I have a correct conception of the wealth that is buried in the banks of the Colorado Canyon, he says, but I can demonstrate every statement I make to be absolutely true, and that my chief shortcoming is an inability to comprehend the vastness of riches that lie along this great stream. And right before he declares that when the whole field has been developed, the supply of gold in the world will have been increased by billions. By billions. New York Times, front page. Yes, it was actually there. Yes, they did bring in a steamship to try to mine to move the coal for the hydraulic mining they were going to use. It is all real. I've done the research. Anybody who doubts me, go do the research. Or check out my research and tell me where I got it wrong. But that was a problem, finding billions of ounces in the early 1900s, because there was only 100 million ounces in circulation as money. Only 30 million ounces in the U.S. in circulation as money. And then all of a sudden, billions of ounces? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Let's make the Federal Reserve System. Let's control this situation, which is exactly why Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act. No, he did not. He was not in bed with the bankers. He was fighting the bankers. Everything he wrote about was about fighting the bankers. But he had no choice. Had no choice at all. Otherwise, it would have destroyed the monetary system, and they would have ended up with the chaos that they should have had. They should have gone through the chaos in 1912, 1913. Instead, they saved it for us. Oh, gee, thanks. Yes, we will go through the chaos that they should have gone through in 1912. But hopefully the cryptos will help make it a smoother transition. It won't be an easy one, but hopefully it will be more smooth. Anyway, this is Big Weir. Lots of exciting stuff at Road to Ruta. Go to resources. Look at all these things in here. The history of Bitcoin, chemtrails, deep capture, the DTCC information, Exchange Stabilization Fund. Here are the original comics from the Road to Ruta. Look at that. Look at that. 1981, that's Ruta right there. How cool is that? And there's Stephen DeVoe, the guy, the Secret Service guy who worked at the Fed, controlled everything with computers back in the 70s and 80s when he worked for the Fed. Little man behind the curtain, along with Alan Greenspan. Classic. Look how old this comic book is. It's a good one. You guys should check this out. Grandma, what does golden mean? Ruta says. Oh, Ruta, This is the big one right here. Ruda's scared of, and Grandma, everybody's scared of the big people who might step on the little people. Who at the Fed is afraid of anybody? They were afraid of the Rothschilds and the Illuminati. But Ruda wasn't that afraid. Cool stuff. And then, obviously in 2007, on January 1st, they posted the revised version. And there's Ruda. One of the biggest revisions. And it's still Stephen DeVoe right here, upper left. Stephen DeVoe right there, still involved. But this is the most interesting slide, besides the one about, being afraid of someone, afraid of the big people. We have Ruda finds Colorland, the gold standard. But when she goes back, what happens? Right there. A rock slide has shut off Colorland. Just like in the Grand Canyon, a rock slide shut off the access to the gold. And what do? They find more. And they start the petro dollar right there with the new black tiers. I know this seems weird if you've never seen it. This is directly from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston website. But the strangest thing, and I'm going to show you this right here, and the whole reason why Ruda is doing this comes on page 15. You go to page 15 of the original comic, and you will find Ruda writing in the sand a formula called On the Road to the Golden Age. Right there. Ruda is writing in the sand a formula on the road to the Golden Age. Right here. Does everybody see that? Huge. It's about asset allocation, how they can allocate the gold to the people. Go look up On the Road to the Golden Age, 1960s economic formula. But it changed. In 2007, Ruda wrote something completely different. Look what Ruda wrote. 11 plus 9. Or 9/11. Woo! This is the Federal Reserve Bank. Talk about a conspiracy. And see the Islamic moon in the flower? This was all about the people, the good guys that had enough. After 9/11, they shut down the operation and the battle began. And now they're going to take down the old system and replace it with something new. Very exciting. This is Big Weir of RoadToRuda.com. Lots of mysteries to be uncovered, and I hope you guys are on board. Go to RoadToRuda.com, check out all the articles, and it'll all make sense to you in the end. I'll talk to you later.